If you're a Michonne fan, you're never going to shut up about this episode, and rightfully so. This is a Michonne-centric episode, and Rick and Michonne are finally reunited. But before I get into all of the details of this latest episode, click the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. I love this episode. I love where it picks up. I love that we get to see Michonne and her struggle and what has transpired, finally reunited with Rick and everything leading up to that. And that's what this episode is. We get to see the reunion. We get to see Michonne back at the CRM. We get to see the people that Michonne ran into. If you remember, she was a bit sidetracked when she met up with Bailey and Aiden and decided to help them. In the episode, we see her back where Bailey and Aiden's community is. And it's clearly a toxic community because they were left behind and they have rules, which is kind of weird. Bailey's sister is actually one of the leaders. She decides to just leave her sister and her boyfriend behind, and Michonne is the one who saves them. And it's interesting to see that Michonne is obviously not the type to leave anybody behind, and she just has this code inside of her. We get to see the bond and the relationship that Bailey and Aiden build with Michonne, and then Nat, who has a tech background, gets introduced. I love this character so much. And he's angry at the leader of this community and is basically over it, and finds out that, because he just kind of rushes in, he doesn't even realize who's in the room. And he went out to go and try and save Bailey and Aiden, try and find them, and he realizes that they were saved by Michonne, and then he kind of instantly has this connection. And that's a beautiful connection that is formed in such a short period of time in this episode between the three of them, Nat, Bailey, and Aiden, to kind of make a decision about their community and what they want to stand for. And Michonne's going off to get to Rick. Like that's what she's going to do, regardless of what these people do. And Nat has these kind of cool weapons to help with the walkers, and very smart. And so we see them kind of bond, and then they see Michonne off, and, make sure that Michonne has all the tools that she needs to defeat and to ward off the walkers. The episode is awesome because we get to see where she is emotionally, where she is in the journey. We get to see where Nat, Bailey, and Aiden have to decide for themselves that they want to still be a part of this toxic community that doesn't go after their own people. Michonne is one that will absolutely do that. She calls out the leader, and basically it's just like, you don't leave people behind. That's not a community. It's just a good reminder of where she's at, and she doesn't want to leave Rick behind. And so these people have to make a decision, and they decide to help her in her quest to find Rick. And it's a beautiful scene. We get to see that. And then, of course, on their way to Philadelphia, we run into the CRM. The CRM they're an evil people. Like, there's nothing good about these people. There's a helicopter that flies by. Michonne takes notice of it. Apparently, the helicopter sees the caravan. It turns around and throws deadly gas at these people. Of course, people die in this attack, and so that hatred grows for the CRM and these people that are just evil. She too was affected. So was Nat. Bailey and Aiden succumb to their injuries and they die, and Michonne has to be the one to kill them. Nat has to decide whether he's going to keep going or not. Everything that he has was there with Bailey and Aiden and now Michonne, and so he decides to go. And there's a point where Michonne basically she runs into the place that she's been trying to get to, and she sees bodies piled up, burnt to a crisp, and she's desperately trying to find any evidence of Rick, and she doesn't. And she kind of comes to this place of just complete desperation and hopelessness, kind of like what we saw with Rick. If you remember in the last episode, he says, "I don't see you anymore." And I think in a lot of ways, Michonne gets to that place too, and she kind of is just broken and tired and emotionally drained and not sure what to do. And Nat is there to basically gird her up and gave her permission to still believe that Rick is alive and still go back to her home, go back to her kids. And so she gets into that place, very much like Rick gets to in the previous episode. And so it's interesting the parallel there. On their way there is when they encounter Rick's helicopter. As you remember, on the first episode, we see Okafor get it in the chest. The helicopter brought down by Nat's genius weaponry. And we see what happens on the other side of that scene. Michonne is obviously out for blood because of what the CRM did to her friends. And so she's killing every passenger that she comes across and just slicing their necks. She's ruthless in this scene and I love it. I love seeing that part of her. And then she obviously gets to Rick and finds out that that's Rick. And so then we have this amazing reunion between the two. And so it's a beautiful scene. It's one that should definitely be talked about, and I know it will be talked about. This is we're not going to shut up about that scene. All the emotion, it was faith that brought them together. And but it wasn't until they both kind of gave up and just said, this is what it is. And I just need to still believe, but let go at the same time. So it was beautiful that they got to see each other in that reunion. It was nice that it didn't happen towards the very end of the episode. So we get like an additional 20 minutes, 15 minutes of what happens after that reunion. And so the entire time I'm thinking Rick is saying, these people, they're coming. We can't get away. We have to go back to CRM. And it's kind of weird. Like, it's weird for me to see Rick like just be this like guy that's compliant, and just bending, promising that they'd get away, but that they have to go back to the CRM. It's just kind of weird for me to see that this is where he's at. And this is what the CRM did to this man. And for a minute there, I was trying to figure out, like, is Michonne, is she just looking at Rick and thinking, who are you? Like, where's my Rick? Where's Rick at? You know, where's my man? And because this isn't him. This is not him. And I mean, I said that. I'm like, where is this man who would fight to the ends of the earth to get back? But obviously he tried. He tried, and it was impossible for him to get away. And so it was interesting to see that Rick's telling Michonne not to act like an A, which I think is I think is hilarious. This is definitely going to stress him out because it's in her to be an A. The way she kills, the way she naturally leads, it's going to be hard to cover that up and act like a B. And the entire time I'm also thinking Jadis knows she has been in their orbit and knows the power of these two together, like what can happen with these two together. And so of course she's shitting her pants, and we get to see her at the end of the episode. I can't wait. I for one can't wait for Jadis and Michonne to get face to face, because I just the reckoning needs to happen there. So Michonne goes back with Rick to the CRM. She gets interviewed. It's, she kind of takes lay of the land. Rick gets to her and they have their moment away from the crowd. And I thought, she's going to tell him about RJ, right? She's going to tell him, right? Nope. She does not tell him about his son. And she says there's more, but I won't say anything until it's safe. And which makes me think that when that conversation happens, it's gonna slay us all to pieces. I was really sad to see Nat die. He's such a cool character. It would have been great to see him more throughout the series. I don't know. They just killed off, two of the most interesting characters in the Walking Dead universe, Nat and Okafor. But it was kind of a cool ending for Nat because he got to see what his toys were able to do and get these two together. And it was bittersweet for sure. And then there's Jadis, Jadis enters a picture with that bowl cut. She knows the power these two have. She's nervous and nervous enough to go and visit Rick and basically ask him what the fuck he is doing. And so we get to see that and we get to see her reaction. And the next episode is going to be interesting. Personally, I love this episode. I love that it was centered around Michonne and her journey. I love that we got to see what happens after that reunion. And I love that Jadis got introduced into the picture. We're down 2 episodes, and this is just as good as the first, in my opinion. You can't have the first without the second, and you can't have the second without the first. And so this was a beautiful episode, especially for Rashone fans. This is what we've been wanting for so many years, and we finally get it, and it's beautiful. The introduction of Jadis coming in, entering the picture, definitely raises the stakes because she knows who Michonne is. Everyone else does not. And so she's holding that card close to her chest. I don't know how smart that is for her, but she's definitely scared, nervous. It's nice to see. She knows what these two can do together, and they're together now, and they're powerful together. And so this is going to be interesting. So till next time, check out The Ones Who Live on AMC and AMC Plus. Talk soon.